has he been taken? You know, is he one of the is he part of the creature now?
There's that crazy like ominous ending.
Yeah, because you're still left not knowing the.
You don't know who did it or who's the last man standing.
Who's actually real. You don't know if these two guys are the last guys and they're just going to freeze to death and die, or Childs or McCready, which we don't think McCready is really, but there's more uncertainty.
Even because they're out, it's like everything could be in vain if Childs is the thing, because then they're both going to freeze, and then someone's going to find Childs' body again, and they're going to thaw him out to examine what happened there, and
then it's going to start over again, and that's where we're left off. It just fades to black, and then it says the thing, and that's what's kind of torturous about this ending, because I don't know if they've ever kind of talked about if what the ending really was, but you're just left not knowing.
I think it's put in there on purpose just to feed off of that paranoia.
Yeah, and it does it well too, and that's what I didn't really remember the ending of this movie, and then seeing it right now, I'm still thinking, what the hell's going on? So who?
Because it could have been, well, did Childs kill Knowles?
Yeah.
When he kind of veers off and he got him, because it's so convenient that he wasn't there to help McCready at all.
Yeah, because you just see him run out into the darkness, and then maybe 10, 15 seconds later, that's when the power goes out. And then, you just really, there's that sense of not knowing. He's been gone too long, pretty much, and in that type of scenario, that's kind of the worst thing that you can do with at least a character, because then there's so much doubt if he's a human or not.
It's like, why did you leave me alone for so long?
And for me, the way he kind of comes back when he shows up at the end and kind of walks out of the shadows, he's kind of smiling, and maybe that's just his character, just kind of like a smart ass. Like hey, kind of like, what's up? And he's kind of has that little smirk on his face, and he's just like, hey, did you kill it? And then that's pretty much the end of it.
And he says, well, I'm not too sure now.
Yeah.
But I'm also not. I'm not in any kind of a state to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Because he's already hurt and tired and fucking.
He has no weapon.
He's done. Yeah. He has nothing, and the guy has the flamethrower.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is a good film. What would you rate it?
Oh man, this one I'd have to rate it a 9.
Oh, I was gonna say the same thing.
I think it's great. It definitely has rewatchable value. I think something for me on grading a movie, good movies you can always watch more than once. Great movies you can always watch more than once, I guess.
Yeah.
That's kind of my way of reasoning.
It does. It plays well with leaving a lot to your imagination, but then showing you just as much.
Yeah, exactly.
Like physically, because around the time that this movie came out, this was like the first of its kind with pushing the gore so hard.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I know a lot of people were offended, calling John Carpenter stuff like, oh, he's nothing more than a pornographer in so many words, you know, because people weren't used to this kind of intensity,
like the gruesomeness
in your face. Because this, I have a pretty strong stomach when it comes to gore, but this film, still today, it's like hard. Like those scenes are hard to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the way that they did them and how it's just vicious. You know what I mean? And the creatures and the shape shifting it's just insane. Yeah.
The one scene that sticks out to me the most, and the one thing I really remember about this was when was it Norris was the one whose chest caved in, right?
Yes.
When his head peels off of itself, and basically pulls itself off of the body, and then
it kind of stretches.
Yeah, you could see it rip, and it's just like, oh, like that's crazy.
You know what that is inside? That's like melted bubblegum.
Really? Don't they say that in Stranger Things? Doesn't not the doctor, doesn't their teacher say that?
I don't remember.
I think I remember them saying that in Stranger Things, because he's on a date or something. It's right when that lady shows up. I think he's on a date with some lady, and he's like, and they're watching the thing, and you see the head peeling off, and then he's like, you know, they use bubblegum for that effect. And then she's like, oh my god, really?
Yeah, and it's weird because it looks so gross.
Yeah, it looks insane.
And it's like some household item.
Yeah, and then you see like basically spider legs come out of its skull and start walking around, and that's when everyone's like, you gotta be shitting me. Yeah. When they see it running around.
Another pair of eyes comes out.
Which was crazy to me. I mean, that scene in particular was awesome.
It really was.
Yeah. Probably
The best scene.
Yeah.
Arguably.
Yeah, that whole scene right there where everything kind of caves in. He eats the doctor's hands. It's fucking crazy. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, because they do a really good job of misguiding you.
Yeah, because you think, oh, he's just having a heart attack, and then he's pumping away on his chest trying to kind of revive him, and then his hands just kind of cave in, which is it's awesome.
When so I first watched this, another one on VHS when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and we owned this movie for a long time, and my grandmother would not let me watch it.
Really?
She was like, no, this is way too intense, you're too young. And finally, a few years after that, she was like, you know what, we'll watch it, but we're going to watch it together.
Oh, okay.
And I remember, she came out to my room, and we watched it together, and that's one of the scenes that I still remember is that chest cavity scene.
Yeah,
it was like scarring because I being a young kid, you're like, oh, this isn't going to be too much.
You don't really see that kind of stuff.
This is so old. Like, what could it possibly be that's going to freak me out? Yeah. And by the end of it, I was like, I completely understood. Why she didn't want me to watch the movie. Yeah. But I definitely think this is outside of Halloween, this might be my John Carpenter's best film.
Yeah.
Do you want to listen to a little featurette?
Oh yeah.
Going behind the scenes.
We got something
of the thing.
Oh yeah, let's do it, man.
All right, let's check it out.
In 1951, director Howard Hawks terrified and delighted American moviegoers with his science fiction thriller, The Thing, based on the short story by John Campbell, and best remembered by film buffs today because of the movie's leading man, Gunsmoke's James Arness. And now, a new version of The Thing has been filmed by director John Carpenter, considered by many to be Hollywood's leading master of terror and suspense, a reputation earned by his previous films, Halloween, The Fog, and Escape from New York.
The Thing, the first movie, was always one of my favorite films. It was pretty much directed by Howard Hawks in 1949 or 50. And it was based on a short story called Who Goes There? And which happens to be one of my favorites. And I thought, when they offered me the remake of The Thing, rather than remaking the original film, I thought I'd go back to the short story, which I felt was never done, and do something really entirely different.
Carpenter's version of The Thing was filmed on location in Alaska and British Columbia, in addition to the California sound stages of Universal Pictures. In Stewart, British Columbia, the crew rode on buses for the treacherous 1.5-hour trip to the actual shooting site. Their day began before the sun came up and lasted well into the night.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Oh, man.
What's going on?
We're on, hey, look, you're moving.
Good morning. How are you? And action.
Leading the cast is Kurt Russell, a favorite of director Carpenter, who first worked with Russell during the making of the highly acclaimed television movie Elvis. They worked together again on Escape from New York.
Basically, my feeling about the movie is that it's an exercise in human paranoia. and what people go through to get to that place. And then when your paranoia turns rampant, with the added problem of reality, of it being true, that your paranoia has come true, what sort of disaster that means to a human being. And in this particular story, 12 guys begin to mistrust and distrust and be so leery of each other that they're barely able to function. And the reason for that is because we've got one great monster.
In this film, The Thing, a creation of Hollywood's special effects wizards, is actually a variety of monsters, an alien from another world with the ability to imitate virtually any life form.
What kind of cell structure is this?
Well, you see, that's the point.
I don't get your plan.
I'm not sure it is any kind of cell structure.
So what's our problem?
The thing's not dead yet.
Great.
There's this creature within that really takes care of all the violence in the picture. There's not very much of it. It's really results. You really do see results. It's much more of a mind game, much more of mind violence in what I would consider a real ultra John Carpenter fashion. He really sets it up and then lets your imagination do a lot for you. You see a lot, but I think what your imagination comes up with is probably much scarier than what you see.
My God, what the hell happened here?
The entire film is a challenge because I'm dealing with 12 actors in a kind of group situation. I'm dealing with shooting in very rough conditions in the snow, which is always very difficult. Dealing with big effect scenes, big chase scenes, big explosions. It's just very complex.
There's been some great scenes where all 12 men are looking at each other and trying to figure out who's who, if you are my best friend or if you are about to thing out on me and kill me. But my favorite thing in this whole picture is to be able to be up here in a location like this and just be able to shoot up here. It's unbelievably fantastic.
The Thing is one of the best screenplays I've ever read, and it's unique in a real special sort of way, and I just love it.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
That was nice.
Of a little vintage featurette.
That was pretty cool.
I try. Did you want to hop into Swan Facts real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. All right, so Carpenter has been known to say The Thing is actually his favorite film of all his movies.
Really?
Yeah. I can see why.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
It's definitely, it's a marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because this movie was rejected at the box office.
Really?
It actually was considered a flop when it came out. But I could also see why. It's fucking strange. It came out.
Not for everybody.
It came out at the just a few weeks after E.T.
Oh, okay.
So everybody was like, "Oh,
E.T.'s the best.
aliens are awesome and friendly and cute." And then you got these like, when they're fucking ripping their face off.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?" And then with that ending, they're like, "Oh, and I'm pissed because I don't know what even happened."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man.
The movie This movie is considered a milestone in history because of its practical effects.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In 2003, a couple of hardcore fans traveled out to the shooting site in Stewart, British Columbia, where they found pieces of Outpost Number 31 and the Norwegian helicopter.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess they were still out there.
That's pretty cool. That's rad.
And one of